Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Dad Talk. Today, we are glad you're with us. We got a little bit of a different episode today, and I'll admit to you, it's going to be a little upsetting. What this father has went through on the screen is going to be hard for a lot of people to hear. I'm going to tell you the reason why we don't have him on the screen right now is we don't want anything to be used against him. There's been enough used against him already, and it is crazy what our family courts are doing to these guys. It was I was just talking to Larry Sharp earlier this morning, Dwayne, and he was talking about these fathers who get their child support based off of money that they cannot make now. There's these exceptions that happen, and that's what's going to be going on in today's story. Really quick, before we get into that, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, ding the bell. Many times or many ways that you can help support this podcast: Patreon, Venmo, Cash App, Dad Talk Today, no spaces. There's also memberships and super chats on YouTube and stars and memberships over on Facebook. For now, we are just going to refer to him as Bob. So let's just say, Bob, how are you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Doing all right, brother. So from my recollection, I think it was around the neighborhood $250,000, $300,000 a year that you made off of a bonus, and they based your child support off of that, which was a very unusual amount that you was getting at that period of time. Before I get all the details mixed up, can you tell everybody how you got through this, started going through this divorce, and what they expected you to pay afterwards?
So the way that I was paid was based off of, it was based off of assets under management, and can increase with additions, can decrease with subtractions, but it can also go up and down with market movement. And that was in a period of time where the market was continually increasing and sales were also increasing. So my income therefore increased, and I had earned some bonuses several years prior that took 5 years to vest before they got paid out. And this particular bonus was a one-time bonus in the amount of $85,000 that increased my income that year. The year in which I was being assessed and that I got divorced was $320,000. So they based my alimony and child support off of income of $320,000, arguing that that was going to continue to happen going forward, even though I proved with company documentation that it was a one-time bonus and was not relied upon and isn't something that is going to be repeatable.
Wayne, we hear what Bob is saying right now. How common is it for these guys to get their child support based upon money that they might not necessarily be making now?
Very often. I mean, I was actually getting triggered, not to that same extent Bob was, but I was getting triggered just listening, because that's what they do. They'll come in, they'll take 3-5 years worth of your income off your W-2s. And then they'll say, okay, we're going to either average it out or take the highest number, and that's going to be it. Doesn't matter if 5 years ago you were selling buggy whips right before the car got invented. They will take that, or they'll do imputed wages, based on what, Bob could be doing who knows what. And they can say, you know what, I feel the average amount that this guy could make is $1 million a year, and just come up with some number, no proof, no nothing, and say, you know what? I'm imputing your wages. That's what you're going to have to pay. or that's how we're going to base everything off of it. It's a very common tactic they do to pump up those Title 4D funds and all the other government subsidies and cash that they can get their hands on. So sadly, it's a normal process.
Absolutely. Bob, was there ever a point in time where you tried to take this back to the court and say, hey, you based this upon some money that I'm not making now, and now I don't have any money left to live on? Did you do that, and did they listen?
Yes, I did, and no, they didn't.
Yeah. Sorry, I think I read that script out already. I already knew that where that was going to go, because they took, I mean, yeah, it was a one-time bonus. And the vesting part, usually companies will like vest it over a period of years because they're looking on continued performance, you staying with the company. There's a lot of reasons why they do that. And so you'll get a large bonus, and then they'll put it out over a year, 2, 3, 4, sometimes even longer. So where you're vested in the company, and they'll take that and say, the courts will and say, oh, that's your magic nugget, and they think that you can make that every single year. Again, it's all Title 4D and all the backdoor little things that they do.
Around how much money was that leaving you with per payday? I saw one of your paycheck stubs where you was bringing home like $25.
Yeah. So, my regular paychecks, when my bonus, or excuse me, when my salary was about 75,000, I would get my regular paycheck, and 60% of it would be automatically gone for the income deduction order. And then after taxes, health insurance, repayment of a 401k loan that I had used to buy the property that was taken away from me in the divorce. I still had to continue paying on that. So, after all those deductions, it left me with $25.
Were you represented by counsel through this process?
I was.
And what did your attorney do before, during, and after that whole process? Did they warn you? Did they,
No.
What did or didn't? Yeah.
Nothing.
And it's a common practice. It's been around for decades. They all know this is how it works. Have you done any research into your attorney?
Well, my former one, yes, but not any further research. No, I'm just so disgusted with it that.
Right.
And unfortunately, it probably wasn't a former attorney until you found out what you got now. Let me ask you a question, Bob. What was the attorney saying to you when you first went to him? Was they telling you that they was going to help you through this and that you would get these good results? Or did they warn you that this was about to happen?
No, they certainly didn't warn me. The first attorney that I had said the max between alimony and child support that I would pay would be $4,500 a month. Well, $4,500 a month actually ended up being just my alimony, and then another $3,351 in child support is what I got stuck with.
$4,500 a month in alimony.
Yeah.
So how long were you married?
13 years.
13 years. And is it lifetime, or is it on a sliding scale, or?
It was 5 years.
5 years. Wow. So she's going to make what, $55,000, $60,000 a year tax free the next 5 years.
Yep.
It's close to $300,000. That is ridiculous, man. I just got to ask you, again, we're protecting Bob here because I know what he's been through. But when I first met you, it was right after all of this was going down. You weren't able to talk about it like you are today. I was very, very worried about you in that point of time. Tell everybody what was going through your head when you were having to go through this.
You don't want to know most of what was going through my head.
That says enough.
Yeah,
it says enough.
You really don't want to know. I mean, it was that bad. It was real bad.
You probably were thinking about self-deletion, other deletions, doing something that you would have never in a normal world would have even considered.
Yeah.
Doing. Yeah. I mean, and that's what, family court does. If I can ask, and again, we want to keep it general for obvious reasons. Your ex-spouse, did she work? And if she did, was she in an industry that it made sense to do any type of alimony?
She did work, but she stopped working to be a stay-at-home mother. Um, her duties were to take care of the house, the kids, you
Okay.
know,
Was that
the
13
domestic.
years? Yeah, domestic
No,
goddess.
that started in 2013.
Okay. So for
So
about 6 years.
yeah, less than that. Yeah,
Okay.
about 5 years. She was
Okay.
I mean, would it be something to where if she were to go back to work, she would, be able to re-enter the workforce after a window of
Okay.
time? And
Yeah, she was. She's a hairstylist. Still maintains her licenses. She actually works out of the house. Doesn't report the income, so she's dodging taxes. Um, and so yeah.
Now, what would happen if you was doing that?
Oh well,
I can't help it. I always got to bring that angle into it because it's one of those. We know what would happen if this was on the other side of the fence.
Yeah,
but I digress. I guess there's no use in talking about that because we're not talking about equality here. We're talking about the family courts. What was your thoughts on the family courts before going into it, and then after you got a taste of what it was like coming out of it?
Well, I thought, anybody with any reasonable human being can see what is equitable and fair.
Right.
Going into it, of course, and then coming out of it, just a complete disdain for, most judicial positions.
Right.
Both.
So in the ensuing years sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said, I mean, domestic and government,
Oh yeah.
both sides. On both sides, they're all putrid.
It gives you a newfound view of the way the world actually works in our judicial system, legislative system, so on and so forth. So in that time, have you, found, I mean, it sounds like, you were in a very dark spot, and over time, coming out of that, have you moved on in your own world?
Oh, of course.
Or
yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm remarried.
Awesome.
To an amazing woman.
Awesome.
Saved my life. If it weren't for her, I consistently that I would not be here. But my kids love her, absolutely adore her, and she's like the best thing that I could have ever asked for. So
yeah, you got two other
now, we're
guys.
not supposed to talking about loving wives on Dad Talk. We're talking about family law issues. We're supposed to be bashing women on here. This is complete sarcasm because let me tell you something. Bob has one of the greatest women that I've ever met in my life, dude.
Oh.
I am not kidding. If it wasn't for her, I don't know how he would have made it. Honestly,
I don't know.
Bob, tell everybody a little bit more about your wife, man, and how she, about how she found you versus where you're at now.
Where she found me was, well, when we first met, I wasn't nearly to the degree of where I ended up.
Okay.
So she literally saw the train wreck as it happened, and then had to wade through the carnage and aftermath, and basically went through it with me and pulled me out of the wreckage. That's the best metaphor that I can think of. I was when we first met, I was doing well at work. I was clicking on all cylinders. Her and I were getting along. Everything was fantastic.
So you hadn't quite got into the dark days when you first met, but she didn't run from you when you got there.
No, she didn't. So after the divorce happened, and it was like literally a kick between the legs, where I essentially had lost more than half of everything because my ex-wife got the entire house.
Mm-hmm.
I got zero equity. But I still had to continue paying my 401k loan on that property.
Mm-hmm.
So here you go. You lose the house. You're losing all this money. You're paying all this alimony.
Yeah,
You lose more than half. How much time did you have with your kids?
Well, at first I had, before the actual divorce, I had more time with them.
Okay.
Right.
I had them Friday through Tuesday, and then two dinners or 4 dinners a month, and then every other Tuesday through or Thursday night through Tuesday morning.
Okay.
And then
about 50-50.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah. So I was, that was basically what I had. And then before the actual divorce happened, the summer before, so the summer of 19, they were trying to get me to settle and wanted me to agree to pay $5,000 a month in alimony and $3,500 a month in child support. And I said, no, F off. I don't think so. And he said, well, if you don't agree, then we'll restrict time with the kids to state minimum. And that's all you'll get.
So you were a good dad as long as you paid.
Yeah. And I said, well, you can't do that. And he said, well, watch me. And that's exactly what they did in court. So basically the way it was all written, her attorney, the judge had her attorney write everything and accepted it carte blanche. Rubber stamped it.
Do you know if that attorney was one of the ones giving campaign donations over to the judge?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, I figured so. I could tell that one. Now you talk about that early custody. That sounded like a pretty good arrangement. Now, was that something that was done through the courts, or is that something you was just doing with your ex?
That was something we had mediated, but as soon as her new attorney got on the scene, he basically made her completely inflexible.
So you did better in mediation than you did inside a family court.
Well, I did when she had a reasonable attorney.
Yeah.
When I mediated originally, she had a different attorney.
I'm curious, Bob, did they say anything about how good of a father you were inside of the family court?
No, they continued to say how bad of a father I was.
Now, how much of that stuff that they just kept throwing at you was recent events, or was it just let's assassinate everything about this guy?
It was all old.
Yeah, that's what they do. That is absolutely what they do.
None of it relevant, and none of it which they actually could corroborate or actually had evidence for.
Oh yeah, not in family court. You don't need evidence. You just need the accusation. So when you were in mediation and you had, I guess she had her old attorney. Do you know why she switched to a new attorney?
Her other attorney had to have surgery and was going to be out for 6 months or something. So she had.
Okay. And then magically you went from being a okay dad to the worst person on the face of the earth. And the only way you could be back to a good dad is if you basically bowed down and paid all this money.
Yes.
Okay. That seems reasonable. I'm being sarcastic if you don't know that. Wow. Okay. So, all right. So you did good mediation, but then you get to court and this judge, I mean, did it seem weird? Anything like, were you picking up anything? Like, was your attorney going, oh God, I know. Judge.
No, my sucked. I ended up switching attorneys the summer right before the trial because the communication was so poor with the attorney that I had. I was like, you got to get on this shit. Like, it's been like 4 days and I haven't heard back from you.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Well, I'm working with so many people. I'm like, I don't care how many fucking clients you have. Like, this is my life that we're talking about. And it meant a lot to me. So
I'm with you.
Yeah, you didn't go in there with a coupon or anything to get his lawyer services. you paid full price for his lawyer services. You didn't split it with the other clients.
The other thing is I had to pay her attorney's fees as well, and they considered that spousal support.
Imagine that she gets to go and pick an attorney that's putting money into the judge's campaign, and guess who's funding for that attorney? You are. I mean, dads, we really do have it well inside of family court, don't we? This is extortion, man. It's criminal, is what it is, and it just blows my mind that this circus just keeps continuing like it does. And I'm so sorry that you had to go through this. Is your lady friend there with you, or your wife?
She is.
Can she hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, I'm gonna go with, let's say, Lisa. Do you know Elisa? Do you have a Lisa that you don't care for?
Or Karen, or
No, I'm not calling her Karen. She's
awesome.
awesome.
I know. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm like trying to figure out a name to go with. We have to use fake names here, so we're trying to.
Yeah. We're gonna use a fake name here, so we're just gonna go with. We'll go with Lisa. So, Lisa, tell us what kind of state did you see the family courts do to Bob? What was he like before he went in versus when he went out?
He was normal before he went in. I mean, we have great conversation. We'd laugh. We'd, have fun together. And by the time they were done with him, it was like he'd come back from war or something. It was awful. I mean, days where he couldn't get out of bed, days where he was just curled up in the fetal position on the couch. I mean, this grown man would weep because he missed his kids so much, couldn't understand, how this happened to him. Like, really in disbelief, which I was too. I assumed it would be fair, and split everything 50-50. They both wanted the divorce. There was no cheating. There was no, for lack of a better term, smoking gun.
Just all love.
I remember even telling him, everything's going to be fine. Oh, come on. There's no judge. That wouldn't be fair. Come on.
It's what most people think until they get there, right?
Yeah. And I was in complete disbelief after everything that happened to him. It literally left him a shell of who he was before.
Yeah, I like
one of the things that I think about is like the first time I saw him in person, it looked like he was having a mental breakdown. Yep. I'm not gonna lie to you. This was one of the earlier cases that I got to cover, and I talked to him on the phone first. And as he's telling me this, and I understand some of the thoughts that he's having in his head, because it's like, what do you tell this guy that's bringing home $25 per payday, has all these bills stacked up, still got to survive and everything, that isn't getting to see the kids, that everything's going to be okay? I didn't know. There was one of those I didn't have any answer. I went and got him a counselor. Is what I did. And even then I felt so bad because I was like, this guy needs somebody. But watching the damage that this went through, I believe that having you is one of the reasons that he's still here with us. I honestly thought that he was going to be one of the statistics that we talk about on the show. And that was a very scary moment for me. So I am so glad to see that he's here. But I want you guys to understand this. In the middle of this family court and all this emotion and these thoughts that are going on, being broken, your pride, everything is taken away from you. But these family courts still expect you to talk to that custodial parent.
Yep.
When you're in the middle of that emotion, and then your emotions used against you. How did you see that communication go with Bob and his ex? And I'm sure there was probably many times, Lisa, that you had to step in the middle.
Yeah. So communication with the two of them is like oil and water.
Okay.
They do not go together. She is extremely hostile. And, trying to keep him calm through those and not letting his emotions get out, because, you can only be someone's punching bag for so long before you lash back out, right? Like, that's human. That's a human response. to a bully. And that's exactly what she is. And basically the courts gave her carte blanche, to be the bully to him.
Right.
I mean, she can do and say whatever. And let me tell you what, some nasty stuff. I mean, she's even gone so far as to threaten me. I had to file a
PRO, restraining order.
I'm sorry, say it.
Like a restraining order.
Well, I was going. No, I filed an incident report, and she. So now she's got. I can't remember what. Simple battery. Yeah.
Okay, simple battery. Okay.
And she called our house and
Right.
was threatening me over the phone. It's ridiculous at this point. The kids are really being destroyed over it. And the oldest now wants to come live with us, and he'll be 14 in May. And when he told her he wanted to live with us, she told him, well, I'll never spend another dime on you then.
Told the child that.
Yep.
Of your dad's money.
Right? Exactly.
Oh, that is so
Sorry,
wrong.
I'm that guy.
You know what hurts my heart so much is that as I'm hearing you say this, that there's been several, probably hundreds of thousands of cases where that same words have been uttered to a child.
Well, you haven't talked about the second half.
You go ahead, brother.
Oh, wait, there's more.
Well, the second half being because I lost my job and I had fallen behind on alimony payments. I owed her about $40,000, and they were going to put me in jail if I didn't pay that.
Yep.
Contempt of court. And so essentially, and I still owed several, a couple more years of alimony at $4,500 a month. Well, they would not reduce the alimony amount of $4,500 a month to $2,500, which is what it should be going forward. They said the only way that we're going to make any deal is this deal here. You're going to jail, and this is it. You pay $45,000 or $42,000 is in arrearages at $1,000 a month. And your child support goes down to $1,500 because my income changed, but that I still owed all the arrearages of the child support at $3,351 a month, even though my income had dropped. I had to pay all the arrearages of the $4,500 a month in alimony, and I had to pay all the future alimony in a lump sum at $4,500 a month. So to be able to do that, I had to liquidate the remaining assets that I had from the divorce, which was all retirement accounts. So I no longer have any more assets outside of my vehicle.
But something that you forgot to mention there was you put in for that modification.
I put in for that
a year. Yep. So they kept continuing it, right? So the arrearages kept building up.
Yeah.
Right.
And they still wouldn't give him a break, basically. So we had to liquidate, everything.
Right.
If that would have been them waiting on signing you up on child support, you would be in that office that quick.
Mm-hmm.
I literally have nothing left, and I still owe her $1,500 a month in child support and $1,000 a month in arrearages for another 36 months.
And this is where, it pains me so much because people say, just don't fuss about the money. You're doing it for your kids. Just take it. What kid is needing that much money? Let's be honest. That is, and that's not even just about a lifestyle. That's not about your kid's lifestyle. That's about your ex getting to live off of you and not having to work. Let's be honest.
Yep.
Unfortunately, does she have a new sugar daddy?
No, the one that
not yet.
She was with someone for 2 years, but he beat the shit out of her.
Yeah. And he was a convicted felon.
Yeah, he was an 8-time convicted felon.
Who got to spend more time with Bob's kids than Bob did.
Yeah. That's systems working as designed. Lisa, I do wanted to ask you, first of all, thank you for keeping Bob on this earth. Too, it sounds like you're a guardian angel. You definitely got him and really was a good partner and walked side by side with him as he went through this. But I wanted to ask you, because it is rare that we do get females on to talk about these things. But before you knew Bob, what was your kind of position on how all this stuff works? I know we talked about when you walked into court you thought, oh, everyone will be fair, and then you walked out and of course you learned. But the whole like with your friends, they talk about doing child support and did you have one position before meeting Bob, and then do you have a different way of looking at things now that you've experienced it right alongside him?
Yes. Yeah, I just assumed that if you were an every other weekend parent, that you did something wrong and you deserved to be that every other weekend parent. There was a reason. Right. Now I realize it's just extortion and they use kids as pawns. And it's a money-making scheme, and it's unconstitutional. Once all this happened with him, I started doing a lot of research and studying up. And I was flabbergasted and floored and have a deep, deep disappointment and disdain for our family court system. It is, I think somebody... Eric, I was listening this morning. I can't remember the gentleman's name that was on.
Larry Sharp.
He said it's like the mafia. I'm like, that's absolutely perfect. That was a perfect analogy. That's exactly what it is. It's just like the mafia.
Well, Lisa is one of those that has gotten to march some of the capitals with me and gotten to see what's going on. What faith do you put in the legislators and getting some change behind this?
0.
I think Lisa's red-pilled.
She's absolutely red pilled. She's got her own bottle.
All worthless.
I've watched the red pill too.
Bob sounding off in the background.
Yeah. Eric, I've been with you and I've talked to the legislatures and I've gone to do it their way. And it's all lip service. Not one of them gives a crap about us. Not one.
None.
When's the last time you had a call back from one?
None. Never.
No, that's not true. I had a call back. I had a meeting.
I did have a call.
You did too, because
Jasmine Clark.
Yeah, yours was Jasmine.
Yeah.
But unless you have a ton of money, unless you can do something for them and put some money in their pockets, they don't care a lick about you.
They really don't. And it's just so upsetting because there was a lot of work that went into that. And let me tell you, some of the sacrifices that some of these advocates do. I think you came down there on your lunch break. And whatever little time you had working full time because Bob, is a little behind. Yep. You've had to keep the house rolling.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I know that hasn't been easy on you, but you can go and do all that, but still have time to come and march to Capitol. And we have such a hard time even getting some of these guys out.
I know, because it's important.
It is important. It is
and
important.
It's unfair.
I know what's going to be said. It's like, oh, you guys say there ain't much faith in it, but you're saying, why aren't we there? Because look, man, we've got to be there backing each other up, whether it's at the Capitol, whether it's here, whether it's wherever we are speaking about it. They do a good job at keeping this issue swept under the rug.
Yep.
And we know it. Yep. And then you got parents like Bob that how is he going to go to Washington, D.C.? How is he going to go to the Capitals?
Right.
He can't even afford to do anything.
Nope.
And it's just so sad.
That's why I get out there.
Tell us how, Lisa, I want you to be honest, just so everybody can get a glimpse at how dark this thing actually gets. Because unless you've walked a mile in somebody's footsteps, you don't know. How dark did those days get with Bob?
Really, really dark.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I really thought that he was going to kill himself.
I did too.
He saw no way out. He saw, and he was like, if I'm not going to see my kids, I have no money to live. What's the point of living? You know, like, what's the point?
Thank God you were there for him.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
and it can be
it was
really hard
horrible.
in those times to provide some encouragement, because let's be honest, he was getting screwed.
Mhm.
He was getting screwed, but almost worse than anybody I've ever heard. You know, they talk about the, Johnny Depp or Kanye West and all that. What this dad was going through was one of the worst cases by far that I'd ever heard of, as far as it's, the money being taken away from him. And it's crazy. I mean, and these are the guys that you expect to go inside the family courts or to go to the legislature to educate the judges and the attorneys. You know what these guys want to say to the attorneys and the judges is probably this middle finger right here. I won't lift it, but I'll tell you, and then tell them not to be emotional. It is the perfect system. It really is working as designed, if you ask me.
Yeah.
They know it's going to get them in their emotions like
And
this.
the thing is, he's an awesome father.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that made me fall in love with him, is how he is with his children. So for them to be there trashing him, her attorney said, the convicted felon who beat the crap out of her was less dangerous to be around those kids than their own father. It's just ridiculous, the things that even come out of their mouths. It's just, he's a wonderful father. He doesn't miss anything that they have. I mean, whenever they're with us, he's always right there with them. They'll have an activity, or he'll teach them, how to change a ceiling fan, how to do this, how to do that. Like, it's really beautiful to actually watch.
Yeah.
But it's infuriating to hear the way the other side tries to portray a really good father.
How did you see him change when his kids would come around, even when he was in those dark moments, when the kids came around? Did he stay in those moments, or did he become another person?
Oh, he became another person.
Yeah.
He just loved his kids. He was just thrilled to see his kids.
Became daddy.
He would hug them and cry a lot. And I think they understood, because he just missed them so much. And now he doesn't do that as much. But there's lots of hugging going on when they come over. There's lots of snuggling with daddy when they're here. There's lots of, even his daughter, who's getting older now, still wants him to hold her, and hold his hand. And it's
They
just
want their daddy.
Yeah.
Daddy's girls.
Right. It's beautiful to watch, but it's also sad because it's 4 days a month.
4 days.
It's like being a
That's
visitor.
it.
That is a really expensive visit.
Yep.
And another thing that's going through my head when I'm sitting here listening to you guys about this, like with him having those challenges, having those depressing moments and everything. And then I know you're over there doing everything you can too. Was there times that these battles that he was fighting inside of the court came between you and you two? I mean, that had to be a very stressful moment. And that's for both of you. If you want to talk about it, it is completely unfair for you to have to step into something that you didn't create, but you've been there. And I appreciate you so much for that. But I know it's had to be hard blending this family in the middle of all this.
Yes, it has been. And yes, not really the court stuff, but the trying
Crazy baby mama.
Yeah, him trying to co-parent with a narcissistic,
Get it?
Woman is it is the definition of insanity. It truly is.
So how many times did you tell Bob, like, maybe try to talk to her like this or to say this, and then he did it and he comes back and Lisa, look what happened.
Yep. More than once.
Yep.
Did it work?
Nope.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Nope.
Have we all done that?
Oh yeah. My wife.
We've all done it.
We've all tried that. She's, my wife is like, okay, I'm going to take over and I'm going to start talking to your ex-wife. And, she's going to see reason because we're both women and you're out of it because, blah, blah, blah. And she comes back and goes, oh my God, she's nuts.
Yep. That's what I said. I said, you cannot talk to her. Nope. I was like, there was no, and they talk in circles. It's circular, right? It just goes in circles. And I'm like, this literally is the definition of insanity. Like,
You're like, I just said good morning. I mean,
Yeah.
Does that give you a little bit of a glimpse why some of these guys, if the family courts is protecting her and doing what she's doing, they're like, look, I'm just walking away from it. I hate to say it, but I understand why some of those guys finally say, look, I just can't deal with it. I went through the courts. I've done everything I can do. You're telling me that I got to contact Miss Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I can't talk with Crazy. You can't reason with Crazy.
Nope.
No matter how nice you are to them, if you're nice to them, they take advantage of that and use it to down you even more. Right. And you're taking somebody that's in the middle of their emotions that just wants to see their kids. It is like the worst thing that you could ever give one of these type of parents is that little, thing to dangle in front of these dads' faces. Like, here's your kids. And if you want them, you got to go through me. You got to go through this system. I mean, the fact that these dads even have to go through this system in the first place disgusts me. Most of these fit, willing, and able dads should never, ever have to step foot inside a family court. If your family's breaking up, that's hard enough. But let's take you in the middle of that and make you fight over the children and the assets. Yep. That is just completely disgusting.
Sounds like that's what happened here, because what Bob was saying is that when they went to mediation before, main court, he had a reasonable, mutually agreed to custody schedule that seemed to work, man, from everything we heard. And then after the courts really got involved, all this happened. That I think that just tells you right there exactly how useless courts are.
Well, I'm thinking the marriage story in my head because it sounded like a mediation could have worked in this case. But at some point in time, I go and talk to this attorney. Oh, girl, you can get more than that. We can get you alimony, which is in many cases, especially in this cases, was all the money, as Robin Williams would say. Alimony, we can get you child support. We can get you the house. We can take everything from them, girl. And let's just keep it going. And then guess what? We can go and we can do this in court. And then I'm going to make him pay for me. You get to keep all that money.
Mm-hmm. That
is crazy, dude. Crazy. And it's sad to know that so many of our guys are going through that. Let me ask you, how are both of you doing today?
I'm doing better. Still get angry. The talking about it gets me upset, as you saw. Starting to escalate a little bit and had to calm myself down.
It's trauma.
Okay, man.
But I'm better. I am still very, very angry with the loss of assets and
time with your kids.
And and very angry about the time with my kids. I mean, my 14-year-old wants to live with me, so that's kind of like the next endeavor is going after custody for him, because he'll be 14 and he can make his own decisions as far as where he wants to live. So, yeah.
I got you, man.
Yeah, I mean, we still do argue about correspondence with
baby mama.
Baby mama. Mm-hmm. So we actually have a counselor that we see twice a month to kind of help us become more of a team around the correspondence and all that. So that's been helping us a lot, because those were our biggest arguments, were the back and forth with her. And I'm like, just stop the merry-go-round, stop the craziness, stop responding to her. It's circular. You guys are not, she's never going to agree with you, and you're never going to agree with her. So it's like,
can you imagine those two parents were married together at one point in time?
I do not know how. I have asked him so many times.
We've all had that.
Yeah, I'm only saying this from experience. But that's what it is. That correspondence. They can only play the game if you participate, guys. And at some point, you got to say, "I'm taking my pieces off the table." Yep. You know what? I am only going to talk to you when you can tell me about when I can see my kids outside of my kids. I don't want to talk to you.
Right.
You know what? And just cut it there. But the fact that you guys had to go and get a counselor just to be able to talk about the correspondence. And for anybody on the outside that don't understand that might sound crazy to them. But for anybody that's been through it, no explanations needed.
Nope.
No explanations needed. That's when I went and saw a counselor. I remember when I was going through it, and I was like, man, nobody's going to believe what I'm going through. And every time I try, I end up almost going insane. And I can't do it anymore. You know, there's a lot of guilt attached from that too. There's like this guilt that if you don't correspond and keep going back and forth with it, that you're not doing everything you can for your kid. Right. But every time you correspond with it, it has nothing to do with your kids.
Right.
You know, that's the sad part about it. And if the courts solve it, this conflict was there, the family court should exist to decrease that conflict. But are the family courts doing anything for your conflict? It sounds like they are putting fuel on the fire, if you ask me.
They're adding to it, yeah.
Don't let them do it, man.
Yeah.
Don't let them do it. The more conflict that you experience, the more the courts love that, because that's more litigation that they've got to do.
Yep.
Right. And everybody, maybe you're a new father that's going through this and you hadn't been through it yet. Everything you're hearing right here, this is how it plays out. You know, watch what you do. Once you go inside of there, they want you fussing, they want you arguing. And I hate to say it, many times these attorneys, I don't trust them.
Nope.
I just don't trust them.
I actually don't. I don't trust any of them.
No, it's that corrupt.
Yeah. And like Bob's attorney.
You're good.
He didn't even object to anything, nor did he even call any of the witnesses for Bob. Like, and they were waiting outside for 3 days. They didn't care that they were wasting their time, and these people were taken off of work.
Oh, so you had a jury trial. Do you have a jury trial, or do you just have like a normal trial just in front of the judge?
No jury trial. I'll give this much. This is in my home state of Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it was just in front of the judge and
and these small town, everybody knows each other and each other's back pockets, backwoods, type like family courts, man.
Kind of thing.
Yep.
So it sounds like, they the decision was already made before y'all walked into the courtroom. I mean, they probably took care of your case, and both attorneys and the judge went out to lunch afterwards and laughed about it. I mean, I'm sure from the research, sounds like Lisa's done, you probably have come to that conclusion. And actually, I wanted to ask Lisa's question, because it is kind of rare that we do get a woman that's that's been through this and has this experience. And this is just a great opportunity to kind of talk about this. So Lisa, it sounds like you were going through it with Bob, and then you said, "Oh, something's not right here. I'm going to start doing research," and you started kind of churning those waters and learning about that. Like, what would you say to another? Because we have the females that think that everything's just fine. This is the way it should be. We have the ones that think this is the really the way it should be. They like doing that. They like that control and everything. And then a lot of them do change their mind when they are on the other side. I mean, that's that experience. What would you say to, the women that are out there that are, I guess, on both sides, the ones that think everything is just fine and dandy, and also the ones where you are now on the other side? What would you say to, I guess, both of those types of women?
Well, the ones who think that everything's fine and dandy are probably narcissistic, self-involved, because there's no but. I mean, I'm a female. I have 2 brothers. I have 9 male cousins. I have nephews. There is no way I would want to see any of them go through this. This is utterly ridiculous. I've been fortunate enough to grow up with both of my parents. But I will tell you, I have tried, obviously, as best I could, put myself in the shoes of a child from divorce. And I will tell you, both my mother and my father played such a huge role in my life and who I am today. And, they both brought different things to my life. I get my strong will and my drive from my father. And I've been personally very successful because of that. And I could never thank him enough for it, and so any woman out there who thinks that this is normal and the kids should only see their father 4 times a month, every other week, dinner or whatever, that's insane. And unless he has beaten you or beaten the children or is on drugs, there's no reason for you to keep that father from their children.
Let me ask you, what would you say to, because we get this all the time.
Yeah.
The Moms Too crowd comes in here and lots of different people in this movement. There is no bias towards men in family court. What would you say to that?
That's bullshit.
Is that
I
a
mean,
quote?
Tell us how you really feel.
Is
sorry,
that a
I
quote?
shouldn't have cursed.
No, I love it. That's exactly what it is.
But yeah, that when you look, and 90% of the time, mom gets primary custody of the kids. You can't tell me the scales aren't skewed. Anybody with a freaking first grade math can tell you that. 90% versus 10%, something looks a little off. So yeah, ridiculous.
It definitely is. And, I just want to encourage you guys to just keep speaking out. And I can't thank you enough because you've been a huge support to me in this show. And I am so glad to see where Bob is now, again, like I said, versus when I saw him. And so I'm going to ask you something there, Bob. And I know sometimes you still probably got other things that you'd want to say. But if you could say something to the attorneys, the judges, the legislation, the ones who make this system the way it is, what would you like to tell them?
Keep it PG-13.
PG version.
Shame on you for what you're doing to good fathers around this country. You are despicable. You are greedy. You are power hungry. And you have no remorse for the damage that you cause. And it is these actions that you take, the direct result is what you see in our prison systems today.
That's it.
It's because of you. Shame on you. How do you sleep at night? How do you even live with yourself?
I have to agree. I was talking to a gentleman earlier. Our prison is filled with fatherless children. And all they're doing is creating more problems for the system later on down the line. They think they're making money on this end, but they don't realize how much they're losing on the other end. And everybody's losing. This whole world is losing from not having fathers inside the home. You really need to take them off of the target because it's hurting all of us. It's hurting all. There are so many different issues that if they would actually focus on the family, that it would just trickle down and heal so many parts of our society. Even though we don't have you on the screen right now, Bob, this is always something later on if you wanted to bring it back. And I'm sure you're going to get to tell them anyway. But what would you want your kids to know about how much you love them and how hard you have fought for them? And I'm going to ask the same for Lisa, too, because I'm sure you got some thoughts on that, too.
I love you kids more than anything in the entire world. And I would go through and have gone through and going through hell for you. I've lost and let go of every dollar. Everything I earn goes to you. I love you. I miss you. And I can't wait to see you again.
Lisa, how about you? Hey, could you say something to the kids about how much Bob loves them and how much you love them? Obviously, there was, and I didn't even get to cover this. There was times where you have stepped up when those kids needed medicine or they didn't have it or they had needs. How many times have you stepped up as a stepmom and made sure they had what they needed when he's paying all this money in child support?
Many, many, many times. And this is not to boast on myself, but I always make sure that mom has Mother's Day flowers from the children. I make sure she has Christmas presents from the children, Mother's Day cards from the children. All of that I do to try to ease some of this tension, but to no avail. It doesn't matter. It's just, but we do it, but I do it and we do it because it's the right thing to do and because we love those kids. And Bob has given up everything for them. and he loves them. He loves them more than life itself. Like he talks about them all the time. He boasts about them all the time. He thinks about them all the time. It's the kind of love that I don't know that all children get to see from their parents. It's an unfortunate situation. But I do believe this has actually brought him and his children a little bit closer because they cherish the time together so much more now. And like I said, there's so many hugs. There's sometimes they don't even let go of him. You know, it's beautiful, but it's sad at the same time.
Yeah.
You know,
I understand.
I love those kids more than anything. And, you know, we have a wonderful relationship, and I've always tell them, I'm not here to take your mom's place. I'm just a bonus. You know, and that's it. And we just adore them.
Man, Lisa's a rock star.
Oh, dude, she is. She is, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get a little bit more into that. This is going to be my thing. We're about to close the show really quick, guys. I can't thank Bob and Lisa enough for coming and doing what you do. And guys, just keep on pressing on, kids. If you ever see this, your dad, he fought hard.
Yep.
We use different names on this show because he's speaking out for you. And if they heard his name, they'd want to come after him again. And we don't want to do that because I'm hoping that you get to be with your dad sometime soon. Okay. And you getting to make that move that you're looking for. Guys, if you like this podcast and would like to support us, Cash App, Venmo, Patreon, Dad Talk Today, no spaces, super chats, and memberships over on YouTube, same on Facebook. I appreciate you for coming out. Please like, share, and subscribe. On the way out, I want to do something really quick. You talk about Lisa being a rock star there, Dwayne. Bob, we talk about the kids. We talk about everything. On the way out, can you tell everybody how much you love that wife of yours and how much you appreciate her?
I love Lisa. That was hard.
Who's Lisa?
I love Lisa so much. I can't even put it into words. Her love, her patience, her tenacity, her positivity, her just caring in every possible way is more than I could have ever asked for, more than I deserve. I don't know.
I love you too, honey.
I love you.
There we go.
Awesome.
I was
Well,
trying.
I'm going to let you two lovebirds get to it. And oh, are you crying there, Dwayne?
Something got in my eye. I don't know what it was.
Oh.
It's beautiful.
All right, guys. We will see you next time, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight. Hey everybody, Eric Carroll here. Thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode of Dad Talk Today. While we fight for you, we would ask for you to please help fight for us. Like, subscribe to our channel, and ring that bell so you get notifications every time we go live. There's also super chats, patreon.com/dadtalktoday, and other ways you can support our channel. Thank you for being here.